Is Whirlpool dying? A single factory layoff in Iowa might be the tip of the iceberg, and if you have a Whirlpool product like a washing machine, you definitely want to watch this. On April the 1st, Whirlpool announced that they're going to lay off about 650 workers in Amana, Iowa. Although this seems like a small layoff potentially, it signals a much bigger story that's happening. To start off, Whirlpool's corporate PR stated that Whirlpool Corporation has made necessary adjustments to its production at the Amana operation to align with current market conditions driven by consumer demand. But what that really means is that Whirlpool's losing market share, but more importantly, it's signaling that there are big problems in store for Whirlpool because of these reductions. Why? Because of where the layoffs occurred. Amana is both a place, a factory, and a brand name. Anytime that you go to a Lowe's or Home Depot, you're going to see that name Amana. It has a storied history in the appliance industry. They were the first company to make a upright deep freezer in 1947. Then they also invented the side-by-side refrigerator, then the bottom mount refrigerator. Oh, and they brought this thing to the market called a microwave. If you've ever followed much appliance history, I think it's worth stating that history may be repeating itself in a very ironic fashion. The last time Amana was called out in the appliance industry for downsizing or problems of this kind was about 2002 when a company called Maytag bought them out in a blockbuster deal that was praised on Wall Street but secretly led to the collapse of Maytag just about 4 years later. Now, I've been working behind the scenes for months on a video about the history of Maytag from its start to its downfall and acquisition by Whirlpool, and it's absolutely scary that as I'm writing this video out, the same thing is happening almost verbatim 20 years later. I believe that this announcement from Amana is a canary in the coal mine. Why would that be? Because in the tech world of appliance repair, Whirlpool is taking an absolute freaking beating in the trades discussion. They're having a nightmare scenario right now where they're having major problems, especially with their top load washing machines. They just released a service bulletin in late March for essentially every single washing machine that they make, from $450 to $600 in their VMW or vertical modular washer series. Now, that's been a design that's been around through various brand names since 2009. Whirlpool, Maytag, Amana, Roper, Admiral, and many others. The bulletin says that there's a major control board failure for the units made from January 2023 through May 2024. Now, this may not sound like much of a problem in a vacuum, but Whirlpool prides itself on manufacturing about 20,000 washing machines every single day from its Clyde, Ohio factory. Most of those machines are of this style of washer, which means there could be a ton of units susceptible to this big issue. Whirlpool also announced just weeks ago that they're going to pay for the faulty control boards that are causing the issue. That is, if you can find one. Every retailer in the United States is just about out of stock of these washing machine boards. You're going to have better luck finding toilet paper in March 2020 than you would finding the boards. And by the way, if you're wondering what the heck I'm talking about, this is what happens. Your unit will drain and it never turns off. No matter what you do, it just keeps running and running and running, making the machine literally unusable. The problem with it is that hundreds of techs that I know and talk to online say that this problem is much larger than what Whirlpool says it is. It's not just the 1.5 year span of machines in the service bulletin. Many techs are having to go to consumers when they have this problem, telling them that their $300 board is not covered by Whirlpool with the identical failure profile. And this is going to cause people not to want to trust the name Whirlpool, Amana, Maytag, or any of the other sub companies even less than they already do. And guess what? This is the exact same problem Maytag started having 25 years ago. They started releasing a bunch of cheaper designs on the market, and people started reporting major problems, causing the company's fortunes to crash in a hurry. It took Maytag about 7 years to go from record-breaking profits to losing tens of millions of dollars annually for the first time in their company history, causing them to get bought out by their rival Whirlpool. And if you're wondering, yes, I fear that this is Maytag the sequel. Why make this video though about it? It's because customers and technicians are super frustrated. They're very ticked off at the current state of the appliance industry. This event could be one of the worst things we've seen since the Maytag Neptune wax motor failure. It's not the first and only failure in the appliance industry. You have things like the linear compressor issue that LG had, but the reality is appliance quality has taken this huge nosedive over the past 2 decades, and it's almost exactly tuned to the time when Maytag stopped being independent. Now, eventually, I'm going to release that big video on Maytag. It's about an hour long, but the reality is that they're related, and the echoes of history, I think, are coming back again. Whirlpool stock is also taking a massive nosedive because of this. It's now trading the lowest level since early 2012. The last time Whirlpool stock was this low, the Avengers had just come out. Not the Endgame version, the Marvel is the greatest franchise and Disney can't make a bad movie at all era, which was a long time ago. It's only getting worse. In Q4 of last year, they reported a loss of $329 million. They ended the entire year in the red too. Whirlpool, not Disney, that is. But it's likely only going to get worse, and the losses, I think, are going to accelerate. Why would I believe that? I happen to run one of the largest YouTube channels on appliances, and I documented the exact same repair 3 years ago. Back then, it was an infrequent problem. It would typically happen if you had like a leaky water valve or a bad pressure hose. And quite frankly, when I made that video, I just threw it together in like 20 or 30 minutes because I was doing all kinds of other videos on the machine at that time that were more common and more frequent failures like drain pumps and belts and shift actuators that are just like common wear parts on Whirlpool and Maytag washers. The video had a few viewers every single month, but then you can see that it changed 1 week in August 2024 when the problem started popping up on the tech boards. Since then, the video has had a 500% increase in monthly views essentially every month from the 2 years prior, and it continues to grow every single month. If this problem is as big as I think it is, my video is going to get richer while Whirlpool gets poorer. And I'm forcing myself to make another video about this issue very soon because of the massive incentive my personal business has to create content, to document the problem and offer a solution. The only real solution to this terrible problem that Whirlpool has is a brand new $300 control board. You can do the math on why I'd want to make the video. And financially, this is going to be a real looming disaster for Whirlpool. The fact that they're promising the board free of cost to consumers, there's a cost to make that board. I'm guessing maybe $30 to $50 per unit, but the bigger cost that they're going to have is the labor and service rate that the technicians they're paying have to get when they are called to do the repair. That rate is at least double the cost of the board, probably between $70 and $100 per technician. And this is going to add up to huge losses for Whirlpool that are going to cause them to empty their coffers to contain the problem, leaving them probably ripe for acquisition by a rival. And again, Maytag had these same problems with their old school red carpet service on different models that they had, like the SAV model that were really Speed Queen Amanas on the inside, or the 50 Neptune problems that popped up on all the different things that that machine had. And this isn't Whirlpool's only fiasco that I'm just dunking on them for. If you ever had an unbalanced tub issue, there was a ton of models that need a full tub replacement until a guy named Scott Berger ended up figuring out that the little part that kept failing could be replaced and turn that $300 problem into a $30 problem. The issue, though, is that it was a cheaper redesign of an existing model that caused the failures for consumers, and most of those problems were outside of warranties, therefore not Whirlpool's problem, which created a lot of frustration with technicians and consumers, souring their belief in the brand. And if you're watching this video, you're probably going to say, hey, Ben, the whole point of the video is that Whirlpool's laying people off in Amana, Iowa, not Clyde, Ohio. And you're right. But the thing is, when Maytag was dying and no one really paid attention to it, they were laying off a lot of people, not from Newton, Iowa. They were laying them off from their factories in Galesburg, Illinois, or Searcy, Arkansas. And they were using verbatim the same PR lines as Whirlpool is doing today, 20 years ago almost to the date. When Maytag died, everything changed overnight. Appliances became crappier. They were quicker to break, I think, because there just wasn't a market leader that was there cheapening its products, which may have caused some of the issue.
Because it's a Maytag, you know it's dependable.
But I think there's a golden lining to this, maybe. The possible upside to this would be Whirlpool's suitor. Who could that be that would buy the corporation, since it's becoming cheaper by the minute to acquire? From everything I'm seeing and hearing in the appliance world, it seems like Bosch may be the one company that is eyeing the purchase of Whirlpool. And if that happened, man, it would be a really good thing. One of the biggest problems I think the appliance industry has right now today is that almost every single appliance company is ran by an MBA. And that's been the case for years. The only two companies that I could think of that don't have an MBA running them are LG's Ku Kwang Mo and then Bosch's Stefan Hartung. And if you go back to my Maytag research that I've been working on, you can kind of pinpoint the time that the company started tumbling when they changed the CEO from Crum to Hadley in 1993, and then they really accelerated cheapening their products. Back then, Whirlpool did a really good job in its race to the bottom. They've grown my entire life and have done very well and are essentially the most popular appliance manufacturer in the United States. But like the point of the video states, that they're essentially becoming worse than any of their competitors now. They're not in my most suggested brands for the washing machine video that I put out a few weeks ago. And it's possible that the negativity from that video that I did is going to spread to the other divisions at Whirlpool, much less the fact that I think their stoves have the same kind of fundamental problems as the washing machines do because of cheaper materials. And if you actually go to websites like Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy, and look at the review scores for the American retailers, you're going to find out that Whirlpool is actually a below average rated brand for almost every single appliance. And that is not a position you'd want to be if you're a company that makes $20 billion on appliance sales in the US annually. Not only are consumers favoring Whirlpool less and less, I'm starting to see it in national leasing companies like Aaron's, who've essentially dropped the entire Whirlpool line of products from their company. And I'm not saying that I like the concept of lease-to-own appliances. They charge huge markups that I think are unethical. But it begs the question, how bad could a washing machine be if you have a 1 to 200% markup on the lease fee and you can't cover your costs and you drop Whirlpool? Aaron's ended up going to Samsung and Element as a better option for leases for customers. How bad is that if you're on the hook for an Amana if it breaks down? Now, is it possible that Whirlpool, as we know it, could exist in 5 years? It's possible that it could exist, but I think they're going to have to either do an about face and dig into resolving the big issues, or they're just going to continue on their current track and get bought out. Either way, they aren't in a good market position anymore, and that has to change by choice or by force. The good graces of the rush towards buying their products during COVID has essentially evaporated now. They've seen major declines in sales over the past 2 years, and again, if you look at Maytag back in the early 2000s, the trends look identical. In the future, I'm going to do a video on the appliance industry and why things fail in the big picture and what the manufacturers are doing to cheapen the products across the board. Certainly, Whirlpool isn't the only company that's ever done it. Everyone else has held hands in the race to the bottom. It's just that Whirlpool maybe reached the bottom faster than the other companies. They're kind of the victim or the perpetrator of the Boeingization of the appliance industry. Eventually, there can be a thing as a bad enough product to where people just don't want to buy it, and the Whirlpool VMAX washer ends up with the same notoriety as the 737 MAX from Boeing, except, well, nothing's crashing and burning. It just, you can't do laundry for a few weeks while technicians throw parts like a shotgun at the system, hoping one thing or another solves whatever the fault of the machine is. Would I have any personal advice for Whirlpool Corporation to redeem themselves? And my opinion would be that if Whirlpool wants to solve their problem, I would just bring back the direct drive. Now, I don't mean that literally, although I'd love to. It's just that the DOE and EPA would say no, and it would be an illegal machine. But what I really mean is to bring back the idea. It was the one where Whirlpool sent their engineering teams out into the field with technicians, and they got feedback on the washing machines that they had at that time. I don't know the official name of that washing machine that was made by them in the 1970s, but techs always called it the Wigwag. The Wigwag was Whirlpool's wonderful washer, which worked well, but after a run of about 20 years on the market, it needed to be refreshed. When engineers went out and understood what made that washing machine great, but also terrible, not from focus group, but working fundamentals with technicians and customers in the field, well, you got the direct drive washing machine, which ended up being the most important and probably best washing machine of the next 15 years, and it dominated the market in the 80s and 90s. And still today, direct drive washing machines are being refurbished in the US or shipped to Mexico, where they're considered a holy grail of appliances. They haven't made a new direct drive in the past 14 years. And if you want more information about how good Whirlpools were, you just got to consult an old school Consumer Reports book. They won every year just about from 1985 when they came on the market through the mid-90s. Institutional engineering knowledge is something that makes products last, and it's something that the appliance industry lacks. And I've heard this from engineers that work for some of the big corporations. My understanding is that one of the problems that Whirlpool has is that it's a lot like Boeing. Engineering takes a backseat to sales, profit margins, and stock numbers, which now are declining. they've consistently reduced their R&D expenditures, something that should make or improve their product line every single year since 2016. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. This video probably has a lot of holes, faults, and failures in my theories, but having read appliance discussion groups almost every day for years, there seems to be a lot of underpinned dissatisfaction on how things are going, and it seems like there's huge swaths of failures that happen to so many models on the market. Right now, it's coming to an inflection point with Whirlpool in their laundry division, which seems like one of their most well-respected products, but it is what it is. My first appliance that I ever fixed was a refurbished set from the Ohio University that I bought to flip when they were cleaning out their dormitories about a decade ago. The first ever YouTube video I did was how to repair one of their dryer timers, and even some of the unreleased videos that just weren't YouTube ready were on Amana top mount refrigerators. But now I'm finding myself making the videos of their products, not for fun or homage, but just simply for profit, because I know how much money there is in fixing their really bad systems. Time will tell if this video is accurate in my view of what's happening in the industry and what the way forward is. But for now, I'm going to leave my office to go shoot some more videos on that freaking washing machine on how to repair it. Now, if you own a Whirlpool, Maytag, or Amana appliance that's been made in the past 2 or 3 years, make sure to comment what your feelings are about it, and also subscribe, because we're going to do that Maytag long documentary probably in the next few months. I'm hoping it's an hour long,